episode. Our live feeds are often have the format of you guys asking questions and us answering them, but last week I think it was, I put something out on Facebook and I said, if you guys have any questions that you don't feel have been answered, any ideas for any episodes that you want, basically any information that you want from us that you don't feel we've given you yet, then please let us know and we'll be able to include that in one of our episodes. So that's what we're doing today. We're doing a Q&A. These are all questions that you guys sent us on Facebook, so I hope that I have written all of them down, and I hope that we answer them all. There are a couple that I've left out, and that's only because we are going to use them as a basis for an entirely separate episode. So if you commented on that post and I'm not answering that question, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's because we are going to dedicate an entirely separate episode to that question. So yes. Okay, so let's get started. The first question is by Scott Austin.
Hello, Scott.
Hello, Scott. And he asks, how has the landlubber life gone? I'm sure you suddenly... Hang on, I need to change this. I'm sure you suddenly re-find all the little luxuries of land life, but there are things that make you wish... But are there things that make you wish you were back at sea? Okay. So
I don't really understand the question. I'm not quite sure what you just said. Why don't you praise it and say that I can understand?
Sorry, I just copied and pasted. So how do we find landlubber life, and are there things that we like about land life that we miss when we're at sea?
Well, why don't you go first?
I think that there are some really obvious things that we miss when we're not living on land, and we're living on the boat. I mean, the boat is full of irritations and compromise and, you know, things that we have to downsize. I mean, for example, one thing that annoys me the most is our fridge. I know that sounds stupid, but we've got this fairly deep top loading fridge and it's just really inconvenient. It's horrible to work with. The lettuce always freezes, you know, when something we think is frozen it turns out to be defrosted, then yeah, it's just really annoying. So that's one thing that I really don't like about living on the boat is the fridge. It sounds stupid. I mean, there are loads of things that, you know, long hot showers, having a bath, being able to do the washing, like your laundry, whenever you want. These are all things that are very convenient when you live on land, and when you live on a boat they tend to take up your entire day. Nick, you go. I'm sure that you've got some things that you've...
There's nothing that I can really say that doesn't echo what you've already said. Everything is a compromise. If you're living in a house, you want to be at sea. If you're living at sea, sometimes you want to be living in a house. And the way I look at it is that even if all the problems that we put on a list, like, firstly, they are first world problems. There's you're like, boo-hoo, you live on a boat in the Caribbean and you're bitching because you don't have, your lettuce is frozen. Like, do you realise how lucky you are? Yes, we do. But people have asked the question, so seeing as you beautiful people are planning on doing this, or hope to do this at some point, it's a valid kind of question to ask, and thus this is my answer. Yes, there are problems living at sea. Yes, there are problems being at anchor. The lack of supplies is sometimes is tedious, and after a while I'm glad to be back in a marina or back in a home. And I think what I would say in extension to what Terysa just said is, from here on in, I'm not sure that it is possible to sail full-time for more than 3 or 4 or 5 years, and this is season 4 for us, without taking a break. Because if we had a 60-foot boat with like a bath in it, a bowling alley, a snooker table, and all these things, we would just exchange one set of problems for another. So yes, we'd have an extra fridge, yes, we'd have more, you know, more storage space, but then we'd have massively increased storage fees, massively increased bills for repairs. We would have, you know, more problem getting into marinas and docks. No one would talk to us because we had a 70-foot or a 60-foot boat, and, you know, all the 40-footers would be like, well, I'm not going to see you because you've got a bigger boat. That's a joke. So I think it is difficult to do this full time, and we kind of alluded to that in a previous video, that I think you have to achieve a balance that is right for you.
Yeah.
There you go, that's my answer.
Scott also asks, I'm assuming that land life is more expensive than life on a boat. So comparing budget land versus living on a boat, I think that it's hard to make that comparison. When you're living on land, or at least when we're living on land, we have a higher income because we're working. So, you know, I don't think that, you know, you might have to pay rent, you might have to pay a mortgage, obviously you have to pay for groceries and, you know, transport, a car, all those kinds of things. But living on a boat is pretty expensive as well. A lot of those costs still stand. You still have to pay for your groceries. I mean, our transport, we pay for, you know, we have to pay quite a bit of money for things like our rib, our diesel. Obviously we try and sail everywhere, but the maintenance of the boat itself, I mean, that's a whole other episode, and we did do a quite comprehensive video on how much does it cost to sail around the world, which answers a lot of the budgeting questions. But I don't personally see much of a difference. Put it this way, living on a boat is not significantly cheaper than living on land, at least not for us. Nick, would you agree?
I think everyone's got different budgets, and I think that you always try and make your budget, you know, you always try and live within your budget. That's how it works. You know, we've got friends that have a much higher cruising budget than us, and we have friends that have a much lower cruising budget than us, which is why when we put that video about how much it costs to sail the world, it's just what it costs us.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think, you know, we exchange one set of like costs for another, and it works out about the same. I think the other thing is, coming to America for the first time, our budget has gone through the roof, or our spending has gone through the roof, because we've got access to things that we haven't had for years.
Absolutely.
So there's the kind of novelty factor of having like an Apple store, or like a grocery store in many cases, where like you can actually buy this stuff. So the novelty of a new place, especially when that place is kind of like full of consumer goods, is, you know, there's a strong pull there.
But also we are buying items that we hope will save us money down the line. We're buying things here that are cheaper here, and we're stocking up because they're cheaper. It means that we're spending a lot in the short term, but we're hoping, the idea is that in the longer term, you know, that will save us money. Scott also asked, my screen keeps going.
Scott's asked a lot of
questions. I know, Scott's very inquisitive. He actually asks a really good question, which is, have you got any plans to sail all year round, for example, sailing between the Med and the Caribbean, because they have opposing seasons? We did that for the first year. We didn't document it on our YouTube channel. I kept a blog at the time, so I will link to the blog below and you can read the blog posts if you're interested. Essentially, we set off from London in May, or from the UK in May, and we sailed up until the following June, 13 months later, doing not the Mediterranean, but Europe and then the Caribbean back to back. And one thing that we found, and this is just our personal experience, it isn't, I don't think that it reflects everyone's experience who cruises, definitely not, but one thing that we found was that was really, it really didn't suit us, and that was for a couple of reasons. I think one, we felt probably at around the 8 to 10 month mark, we felt that we really needed a break from living on the boat, and that might not be something that some of you want to hear, because you think that this is a really romantic lifestyle and we're extremely lucky to be doing what we do, and why would we want to take a break from it, which is a valid point. But the reality was, for us, that living on a 38-foot boat was something that we really enjoyed, but we also needed to take a step away from it every now and again, and you know, just have a little bit of normal land life. And not only that, but see our families. Seeing our families was very important for us. That was something we couldn't really do while we were on the boat. Nick's parents were able to come out and see us every now and again. My parents were not. So we really needed to take a step back, see our family, kind of take some time out from the boat, and then come back to it refreshed. And we found that as soon as we did that, then we had a much more enjoyable time living on the boat, because we were able to appreciate it more. Those little inconveniences, they weren't piling up so much. After we were living on the boat for a year, they really started to pile up, and we started to just get irritated with the little things that shouldn't matter. So taking a break from that was really important to us.
I'm going to say that I don't agree with you fully on this, and I would say that the subtlety of the difference between what I think and what you think is as follows. I think that you could live on a boat 12 months of the year easily, and I could live on this boat 12 months of the year easily. I cannot and will not cruise 12 months of the year. It is too difficult. So far where we've been, you know, we've done the Atlantic coast of Europe, we've sailed Morocco, the Canary Islands, we've sailed the Caribbean for 2 years. Not having a base where you can sit down, whether that's a marina or otherwise, because I lived in a marina. We lived in a marina for a year before we set off. It's not a problem. You kind of think, oh, well, I don't have a washing machine. Things become slightly more difficult, but living on a boat is not, this boat is not difficult. Being constantly cruising is, and it takes a toll on the boat, it takes a toll on you, it takes a toll on your relationship. So I think I don't need to get off the boat. I need to stop the boat moving for a period of time every year.
Yeah, I agree. And that's not just to take a break from the worries of cruising and the inconveniences of cruising, but it's also to give us a chance to form relationships, to put down roots, to get into a routine. And these are things that we didn't think would be important. We thought that when we set off, we thought that we would just be able to travel and fulfill our dream of traveling around the world and sailing around the world, and we'd never feel the need to take a break from it, but it turns out that we do. So this is another question by Todd, and it kind of ties into what we were talking about just now. He says, how has living on the boat affected your thoughts on other parts of life? Do you find yourselves missing Starbucks, Universal Wi-Fi, Britain's Got Talent? Definitely not the last one. Or has your lifestyle sort of distilled things down somewhat for you?
I'm going to split this into two separate bits. One is the consumerism. The idea behind cruising is that you sail far from the madding crowd, that you go to places that are isolated and you take on board like a lifestyle that's not the lifestyle that you had. So, is that still for me?
Yep. Yeah, it's just, 12 minutes.
So, from the point of view of consumerism, we spent 2 years without kind of having regular Wi-Fi, without having access to anything that wasn't ridiculously overpriced or had to be shipped. And eventually I never thought I missed it until we got to the States, and then it was like, oh my god, we've got all this stuff. So those things you do miss, and it comes back to balance. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, and this is going to kind of me putting my hippie hat on, life is a journey, and it is a journey metaphorically as well as for us literally. So what you want one year is not what you're going to want the next year. So what you want when you're 30 years of age is not what you're going to want at 50 years of age or 60 years of age. So, and this does change you because you're experiencing a life that is completely different to the life that we had before. So I've changed a lot in the last couple of years, like hugely, and I love this. I love boats. Bo and Alison bought a house a couple of months ago. They moved in about a month ago, and it is a beautiful, beautiful house. And every time I go around there, I'm like, I have house envy, and I'm like, this is an amazing house. However, if the magical unicorn appeared and said, do you want a house? I can wave this magic wand and give you this house with all this beautiful furniture in it and a land-based job and everything. Would I swap it for this boat? The answer generally is no. Genuinely, I would not give this boat up. I would not give this sailing life up. I get really twitchy when I'm not near the boat. I get really twitchy when I'm not near water. For me, I mean, if I'm surfing or on water, I'm happy. So it changes you. I think that's my answer.
Yeah, and I think I'll just add to that. I think that the questions about, do you miss Wi-Fi? Do you miss Starbucks? What do you miss about life on land? So far we've spoken about the things that we miss, the things that we miss out on, or the things that are inconvenient to us about living on a boat that are very convenient when living on land. However, I think that what we are pretty good at is appreciating the place that we're in, or the region that we're in, for what it has to offer. So we're in the land of the plenty at the moment. We're in America. Here we are enjoying the fast Wi-Fi. We're downloading legally films and TV shows that we can watch when we're out cruising. We are going to yoga classes, or
you are
yes we're driving, we're just going to Harris Teeter every day and stocking up, or Walmart, or whatever, anything that we have Amazon, which is like pretty exciting for us. So it's so convenient. We have amazing food, amazing restaurants. We're taking advantage of all of the things that America has to offer while we're here, and we are really, really enjoying ourselves. When we leave America and we go to wherever it is that we're cruising to next, which I think that we're not quite ready to kind of announce, because we still want to leave some room for kind of changing our minds, but it will be somewhere more remote, and we will be enjoying that for what it has to offer. You know, not having Wi-Fi, not having anything but a beautiful anchorage and clear water, and you know, just you and on the boat in this beautiful harbour or anchored off a beautiful beach or whatever. We enjoy that for what it is when we're there as well, and we love the serenity, we love the isolation, we love the feeling of being kind of, and again, this is me putting my hippie hat on, but being like at one with nature. You know, you can't have both of those things. You can't have that feeling of isolation and kind of, I don't know, being able to jump off the back of the boat and go swimming and snorkeling and it just being you, the boat, in this beautiful area, and also have Amazon. I mean, you know, the two don't go hand in hand. So
yet at some point there'll be a drone coming to like Vanuatu or something. It's like, yeah. Anyway, who's got the next question?
I don't know. Kevin Williams says something completely different. Pros and cons to the different types of anti-foul. How often do you service the winches? And for fun, favourite point of sale. Okay. And for Nick, Iron Maiden or Judas Priest?
Maiden. Power Slave is the best album cover I think ever made.
So let's do this in reverse order. So that's that question. Favourite point of sale, I think we can agree.
Downwind.
Yeah, or off the aft quarter, probably. Because Downwind is a bit...
Yeah.
Not dead Downwind. How often do you service the winches? That's an interesting question.
Thus far, never. As long as they're going, as long as they're moving, I haven't serviced the winches.
And pros and cons to the different types of anti-foul.
I had a really, really good discussion with the chap in West Marine about anti-foul, and I'm like, which is the best anti-foul? And he just said, pick up the cans. The heavier the can, the better the anti-foul.
Oh wow, that's an easy
Yeah, obviously
test.
like for like size.
Right.
So if you've got like a 1 gallon can or a 2 gallon can, he just said, look, just pick the heaviest.
Richard Findley says, where's Bo and Alison? I think we've already answered
We
that
covered
question.
that. They are
Living in a beautiful house, very happy,
Yeah.
settling down in Charleston. Also, Richard wants to know where the best chicken and waffles and shrimp and grits are that we've had in the American South. We've not really...
been in it once now.
Yeah, we've not really done it in any extensive sampling, I'm afraid. We have had both of those things, but I don't know. We tend not to order them when we're at restaurants. I don't know. Sorry, can't answer that one. John Church asks, in one episode you mentioned the anti-foul has been failing. What was the root cause of this and how it prevented the same issue this year?
That is operator error on my part. Essentially, we had Micron, we moved to another brand of anti-foul that's not, it actually says do not, you need to, I left the old anti-foul on when I put the anti-foul on last season, they're not compatible anti-fouls. So it caused areas to peel off, that's the first thing. Second thing is, it only flaked off in the areas that had only been covered once. Now, when we were in the Caribbean, anti-foul was so ridiculously expensive, I cracked the shits and said, I'm not paying like X number of hundreds of dollars for a tin of anti-foul. So we skimped on it. This season, we did everything differently. We took a lot of the old anti-foul off and 2-3 coats because it was cheaper.
Okay. So we've been going for almost 20 minutes. I think we need to wrap this up and we'll carry on. So I'm really sorry, but this has been going on for a very long time. So we will wrap this episode up and we will continue on with a part 2 and possibly a part 3 because there's actually loads and loads of questions here. Hopefully just in a few days time, so stay tuned for part 2 and as always, if you haven't already subscribed, then we'll put the button for that about here, and if you haven't joined our Facebook page, then I'll put the button for that around here, and we will see you in a few days time with part 2 of this. So thanks for watching.